Being a part of the Elon community means we embrace honesty, integrity, responsibility, and respect as values in our daily lives. Our honor code values guide us in our actions inside and outside the classroom, in our residences, in our communities, throughout our time at Elon and into our time as alumni. We gather for the call to honor as an opportunity to affirm and celebrate our commitment to the values that bind us together as members of the Elon University community.
The honor code is physically written on every single syllabus of every class I've been in. It's always right at the top, and we usually take some time to kind of talk about it and what it might look like in that class specifically when we walk into the classrooms. And honor code can kind of seem like it's just a list of rules that you have to follow just because the university tells you to, and you might get in trouble if you don't. But I think when you get to really think about what those values mean and why exactly they would be important to your college experience, it takes it from being just that list of rules that you have to follow to being a personal commitment to your own growth.
The Elon Code is something that guides all of us, not just how the university runs, but just how we run our personal lives as well. And I think it's a great foundation. Honesty, integrity, responsibility, and respect are key things I have to work on every day and every moment of my life.
Having those values applied to Elon and to the Elon community is an important way to make us feel like we belong to this family that is now Elon. It's kind of like what binds us together as a community. It's what we all follow to make sure that we can be part of the community.
To live with honesty means being truthful in our academic work, being truthful in all of our relationships, and being truthful to ourselves. In our academic lives, this means developing and using our own thoughts and appropriately giving credit to the ideas of others. It might mean taking a lower grade on an assignment rather than cheating or lying to get a higher grade.
This is where you're going to learn everything that you hopefully need to know for your career going forward. And so, something that may have seemed small in high school, like, oh, they looked up one answer on a test, it's really a big deal in college. You need to know that information and you need to learn it for yourself. And so I think that kind of having that honor code that holds you accountable for that honesty and that academic integrity specifically is very important.
Especially as we are potentially moving into more of a digital classroom, making sure that you are still holding yourself accountable to doing the same work that you would be doing in a regular classroom. Using your resources responsibly, so just using like your textbooks and whatever your teacher says that you should be using and not anything else, and making sure that you are really staying committed because that's how you're going to do your best learning. And really just keeping yourself honest and making sure that you were checking in with how you were learning and not just, making choices without thinking about how it's going to affect you.
You need to be honest about the work that you do academically, but I think that most importantly, you need to be honest with who you are as a human being and to be authentic, right? To show up authentically in front of others. That's also part of being honest. Any relationship has to be built on honesty. If we cannot trust each other, then I don't think we can create relationship. We cannot create community. So every day that I work with a student, that's one of the main values that I kind of like ask from them. I'm very honest myself, and I ask the same from them. I think that that's what's built trust and what makes a relationship stronger.
Integrity is fundamental to our honor code, and it means to be trustworthy, fair, and ethical. This pillar of the honor code is essential to our sense of self and in our relationships with others. Living with integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching.
Elon really tries to pride its students and the community as a whole on holding themselves to a high standard, and integrity is a very big part of that, making sure that we are doing what we are supposed to be doing and not putting things by the wayside, making sure we are really strong in our actions, and I think integrity really encapsulates that.
Whatever action you take not only affects you, but it affects those around you. So if we want to keep, as a community, as a family, we need to be trustworthy, to be ethical, and to think not just of ourselves, but to think about how whatever action we're going to take is going to affect others. I think it's very important to be able, or to be willing to listen to others, to be able to understand where others come from, to challenge others' viewpoints, to be able to step in when you see that something or somebody is doing something that's not ethical, to be able to say, wait a minute, this is not what we stand for here at Elon.
Responsibility is being accountable for your actions. College is your first taste of true independence. However, this independence comes with added responsibility. It is your responsibility to attend class. It is your responsibility to work diligently on group projects while balancing the time you spend on academic and social activities. And it is your responsibility to say something when a friend is doing or saying something that may be hurtful to others.
Coming in as a first-year student, there's a lot of different things that you could get into. There are so many different opportunities that you have academically, extracurriculars, all these other things, just the life of a college student. So making sure that you're making responsible decisions, especially in your first couple weeks and while you're finding your base and finding your community. So making sure that you are getting into groups that you want to be a part of and things that will help you grow as a student here, not just making irresponsible choices.
If you have a friend that you are very close with and you want the best for them, but they're not always making responsible choices, whether that's just not going to class or just making irresponsible choices on the weekends, you have a responsibility to that person as their friend to step in and just make sure that you are being a resource for them if they are struggling with making good choices, and just kind of helping to guide them through a lot of the challenges that we all face on campus.
Sometimes being responsible might not be the easier path, right? But and it might not put us in comfortable positions. But again, I also am a firm believer that when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, that's when you grow the most. We need to understand that we're human beings and we make mistakes. And making a mistake is what is going to help us grow as well. But part of being responsible means also being accountable for those actions that we take.
As far as the pandemic goes, I think it's going to be very important to be responsible for your own actions by making sure you're wearing a mask and washing your hands and not going to places that are going to be detrimental to your health with large gatherings and things like that. I think it's very important to be committed to that for your own personal health, but also for the health of everyone around you, and just so that we get to enjoy Elon's campus for the whole year, hopefully.
Living a life characterized by respect requires action. Extend respect to others, remembering that each person you encounter deserves to be treated with civility because, like you, they are a person of worth and value. Acts of racism, sexism, or homophobia, which by definition deny the dignity of others, diminish us all. Living with respect means not participating in or tolerating acts of bias or discrimination against any group or individual. Racism, sexism, and homophobia have no place here at Elon.
I'm personally from Zimbabwe, and so when I came over to the U.S. to school, it was an adjustment, learning how to just adapt to the American culture. But I think it's one of the things that has made me grow the most. And so I think one of the unique aspects of coming to college is that you are immersed in an environment with people who come from very different backgrounds. And this is that chance where you can really get outside your comfort zone and learn about other people's backgrounds and values and grow to learn to respect those. And when I look back at my own college time, I became friends with people I never would have thought I would. And that was probably the single most exciting thing, that I made these long-term relationships that have lasted beyond college. But during college, I was able to learn to respect different viewpoints as we built those friendships.
Coming to the university is part of the process of changing as an individual. So there's going to be a lot of changes. Sometimes those changes involve changing your viewpoints or changing the ways you thought about certain things, and that's okay. Sometimes that puts you in uncomfortable situations, sometimes even with your family, but that's part of growing. I think that your families are also investing in an education for you to grow as an individual, right? Elon is not just about getting the degree and putting it up in your wall, right? I mean, I think it's about growing as a person, growing as a human being, growing intellectually, growing socially, but again, really challenging ourselves to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, to maybe walking a space that you don't identify with, but that's how we learn about others. Sometimes we have all these biases that we hold on different identities, but those biases are based on really lack of knowledge. So walk in a space, engage in dialogue, learn from others, and then you can make your own decisions of what you want to believe.
I encourage students to, communicate. Communicate with things start to be overwhelming. Communicate with your professors, with your classmates. Reach out when that pressure starts to mount up. That's when typically, students could be put in that position where they start to compromise the pillars of the honor code, and it's something that no one ever wants to do, particularly if it's something academic related or some homework and stuff. That's something you don't want to have carrying with you throughout your academic career and beyond. So it's just not worth it. But you're not alone. And so when you are going through those periods of struggle where you may be tempted to compromise on the aspects of the honor code, honesty, integrity, responsibility, and respect, reach out. Reach out to your professors, to the staff on campus, to your peers, because we're all in this together.
You're always going to be representing Elon no matter where you go. Someone will always be like, where'd you go to college? And once you say Elon, everything that you stand for, everything that you say from there on will hold the Elon name. So making sure that you are carrying the honor code with you forever.
Today we are entrusted with the honorable legacy of Elon University, dedicated to the intellectual, personal, and spiritual growth of all of its members, to the advancement of knowledge for the good of all, and to the service of local, national, and global communities. To that end, we affirm our commitment to the core values of Elon University. We commit ourselves to honesty, being truthful in our academic work and in our relationships with others. We commit ourselves to show integrity, being trustworthy, fair, and ethical. We commit ourselves to responsibility, being accountable for our actions and for our learning. We commit ourselves to respect, being civil, valuing the dignity of each person, and respecting the physical and intellectual property of others. With these commitments, we join generations of Elon students, faculty, and staff as bearers of its honor. On behalf of the university, I pledge to you that Elon will do its part to challenge you to grow intellectually, socially, and spiritually. I'm counting on you to accept Elon's challenges and to join your faculty and staff in the daily practice of these core values. We have pledged our commitment to live these Elon values. You will be receiving an honor coin as a reminder that these values are always with us. I hope this coin will help you recall this honor code ceremony and your personal commitment. It is what makes a community out of individuals, and these values bind us together as Elon. I wish you all a most successful academic career.